Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another tool pick video. Just going to have a few machinist tools here, or machinist items I should say. These all came from the used tool store, and sometimes I get lucky there, and case in point, we'll start with this first item here. This little unusual height gauge right here. This is an antique height gauge that was made by a company called Greist or Greist. I believe it's spelled G-R-I-E-S-T. I'm sorry, that's G-R-E-I-S-T. And this is marked Micro Height Gauge, the Greist Manufacturing Company of New Haven, Connecticut. And there's a patent number on here. So over the years, there's been several companies who've come out with these little, really fine adjust micro height gauges. I know quite a while back I featured one from Mitutoyo. I have another unidentified one that came out of the catalog for Mike's Toolorama, Rail Mics, or whatever it was called, Toolorama. So anyways, the only problem with this one is that it is missing the original small clamp and scriber. The scriber would be pretty generic. It wouldn't necessarily have to be unique to this, but the clamp would be a nice addition. But that being said, I scored this little guy for 10 bucks. So that was a really good deal because these, if it was complete, these bring about 80 bucks on eBay. I probably going to sell it to one of my regular buyers because he's got an interest in it. So, give him a discount on it because it doesn't have the clamp. But I'm still very happy at that price. I ended up having to get in line early to be the first through the door to make sure that I got this thing. And well, the guy who was in line behind me came for the same exact item. So, matter of fact, when he found out that I was taking this, he got a little disgusted and walked away. Oh well. Hey, I've been there. I've been on the other side of that. I've been the second guy in line, or I've been the guy who walked up to the table at the flea market just to watch the guy in front of me buy the whole box or whatever. So, all's fair in love and picking, I say. And then while I was there, this item actually had been there a couple weeks, and he has the owner of the store there, he has a pretty strict policy that when he prices something for the first week, at least for the first week, it'll be firm. That price is firm, no wiggle room. This is something that when he first put it out there for 60 bucks, it was actually a good value, I think, if you were buying it for yourself. But for resale, it didn't really leave much meat on the bone. But I offered him, I had been there a couple of weeks and no takers, so I offered him 50 for this, and he agreed. And that gives me very little profit margin on it. But what this is a nice Starrett universal gauge. Now, this is not to be confused with the less valuable, more common shaper gauges, or more correctly what Starrett calls their shaper and planer, or planer and shaper gauge. So I have one right here. This is actually a box for a $5.99, but it has a 246 in it right now. So the smaller of the planer shaper gauges that Starrett manufactured is the 246, which is right here. Just give you an idea on the size comparison there. And then Starrett also made the $5.99, which is what was supposed to be in this box, which I currently do not have one, an extra $5.99 laying around, but the $5.99 is a larger version of this. So here's the 246. So originally came with 2 posts, and here is the $5.99, and the $5.99, oddly enough, apparently it originally only came with 1 post, a taller one. So I stand corrected. The 599 could be ordered either with a 3-inch extension or a 1-inch extension. So you might find that either way. And the 246 came with the 1 and 2-inch extensions. But what I have here is the Starrett 995. And I guess because it's quite a bit more versatile than the regular planer and shaper gauge, they call this the Universal Precision Gauge. I think I just said that number wrong. I meant to say 995. Did I say 995? I don't know. But what I have here
is the Starrett 995.
Well, first let me start by saying there's 2 key features that the body has, which the first is there's actually a level in the bottom right here. So we've got a bubble vial right here, level, built into the base. And the second thing is this right here is a fine adjustment knob that allows really precise fine adjustment of this moving part on the top, as opposed to here we've just got, you loosen a locking nut and you move it. So when you do find these, you can find them several ways, and the reason for that is because Starrett actually offered this where you could get just this body with just this 3-inch extension and no case, or you could get just this body with the 3-inch extension and the case. And then if you find one of those ordered that way, you might think you're missing a bunch of parts, but that's not necessarily the case, pardon the pun. And that is because of the different variations that they had. So this is a very complete one here, so let me just run down some of the accessories. We have a straight scriber right here. This is a scriber holder that can be screwed on to where any of these extensions would be, or onto the top of one of the extension posts and hold the scriber. So then you can use this as a surface gauge for layout work on a surface plate. This is a handy little tool. This is a handy little accessory. This is the offset, what do they call it? Offset attachment. And this offset attachment, when you ordered that, it would come with this clamping bolt right here, which in itself is a unique looking little guy. The offset attachment would be handy for if you wanted to actually have an indicator, dial test indicator hanging off of this thing, and again using it on a surface plate. But Starrett also offered this as a complete kit, the way you see it right here, where you would get the body with the 3-inch extension, the 1-inch extension, the scriber with the scriber holder, and the offset attachment with the bolt. And then there was one other accessory that you could get for this that didn't come with any of these sets, that was just an extra accessory you could purchase, which is the 711-49 was the catalog number. And what that was an attachment that allowed you that aided you in holding the last word dial test indicators. So the last word dial test indicators, they had a little bit different mount on them. So I don't know how well that's going to show up there, but you can see the last word indicator is mounted on its classic little bar-shaped mount that's used in a on a height gauge or a tool holder, and you can just see that little accessory there. All right, so that's enough blah 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 about that little sucker. Oh, so I just went and grabbed the unusual other height gauge that I have handy, which is the one from the Quik-Mike's Tool-O-Rama catalog. So this card was on this when I purchased it, and it says 1985, $350, high precision height gauge, November 15th, 2009. The reason why the owner put that on there was because he wanted to remind himself of what this cost back when he probably bought it new. So he's got the photocopied page out of the original catalog. So there it is right there. It's called the Quik-Mike,
Mike spelled M-I-K-E, height gauge. It's HG and lapped, which means hone, ground, and lapped. Micrometer setting to within a thousandth of an inch with quick adjustment over the full 6-inch range. And the quick adjustment is in 100,000 steps. So that's, you push this button right here, and that gives you quick adjustment. So every spot that locks in is each tooth is 100,000th from the next one. But then you also have the fine adjust on the top here to dial it in. And you can see it's really nicely made piece. And no scribers in. Oh yeah, no, there's the scriber. There is a scriber in here. That's probably the original scriber by the looks of it, and the clamp. So I'm not really sure of the value on this. I don't think these come up on eBay very often. It seemed like a pretty rare, obscure piece. So it stays in my collection for the time being. So this is exactly what he put in the video. This tray with this stuff in it, described as a broaching set for $200. Well, I was like, well, I know I have the Dumont Minuteman brooch set, and that's all fine and dandy. I don't need another one. $200, there's no resale for me here on this set at $200, except for one thing. This is not just a standard set. We're going to find out right now. I'm going to actually look at this for the first time closely with you guys and see exactly what I've got in here. But the dead giveaway that was more to this than meets the eye was this big guy right here, for instance. So I don't even know whether or not this is something somebody made in their shop or if it's a commercially made die for a brooch. But you can see that's for a huge bore. Speaking of huge bores, Steve, why don't you get on with it already? So this is the largest one in here, and this is a 3-inch. For anybody who doesn't know what these are, a broach is this specially made type of cutter. And the way this cutter works is it starts off, it's got a taper to it, for lack of a better explanation. So the width here is less than the width here, and as it goes up and each one of these cutters goes by, each one of these cutters sticks out a little further. So the way this works is, this is for cutting a keyway, like in a pulley or something, right? And the way it works is you actually use an arbor press or a press to push this through, and it will cut. These actually do a really good job of cutting. They take off a little tiny shaving, and then the next tooth takes off a little more, and so on and so on. To guide this, you need one of these dies like this. So this would sit in here like this, okay? You would put this into the bore that you want to put a keyway into, and then this would be pressed through, like so, by the arbor press, or your hydraulic press if you prefer, and it cuts a keyway. And if you still don't know what the heck I'm talking about, well, yeah, sometimes on a gear or a pulley that's going to be fixed to a shaft, you have this little slot cut in it right here, which is the keyway. And then you would have either a Woodruff key or a piece of key stock that would sit in a groove on the shaft, and in here it engaged the two. So it's a handy thing to have, but you're not going to use it very often. But it's the kind of thing that when you need it, it's great to have. So the guy who was next in line who wanted this, I explained to him that I already have one of these sets, and it's a complete set, but it's the base set. And what I really was after was any additional brooches or dies in here that are oversized. And I wanted to add them to my set. And, you know, basically once I did that, I'd be willing to sell this set to him. So what I got to do is I got to get all of this stuff out of here, get the box out, put together a complete set, and see what I've actually got for extras here. All right, so I cleaned all the trash out of the box here and emptied it, and you can see that this is a you see the old label on the top here. It's a Minuteman keyway brooch set by the Dumont Corporation, And this is the most common one that you tend to find. So they must have cornered the market on these things. But then there's all different versions of this set. This particular one is a number 10 standard set. So this is supposed to have, I believe, 9 dies. 2, 4, 6, 8, yep, 9 dies. And then I'm not sure, I'll have to figure out which broaches go in this thing. So I'm going to weed through all of this stuff that's here and see if we've got a complete set to start with. All right, so these are still sold. You can find them in the MSC catalog, and if you go in the master catalog, the big book as they call it, you can actually see what's exactly supposed to be in each set. So this is a number 10. This set is over $500 new now in the catalog. Of course, that's MSC. And what's supposed to be in here, this is supposed to be a 13-piece set. They don't count these little fingered things here, which you can just make out of shim stock. But anyways, 13-piece set, and that consists of 9 dies and 4 broaches. The broaches are sized as B and C for the back width that fits in the actual die, and then of course whatever the actual width of the groove that it's going to cut is going to be. So these are the 2 C broaches that come with this set, or that are supposed to come with this set. And this is the original Dumont 3/8 C. And then what's supposed to be in here is a Dumont 1/4" C. And what I found in this pile of stuff here is this Threadwell 1/4" E, but the Threadwell E is the same width. So this is to make up for the fact that it's missing that one. And then also the B-sized broaches are supposed to be 1/8 inch and 3/16. The 1/8 inch is the original Dumont, or an original Dumont, and this one is Chinese, and it's the only 3/16 in this whole mess. So this was probably subbed out. Somebody probably either damaged or broke or dulled that cutter, and they just replaced it. And the only other thing that's an anomaly here is this particular die right here is a shop-made die for the 7/8 B size. So these 4 are B sizes. These are all original Dumonts, and these 5 right here are C sizes, all original Dumonts. So it's got all the sizes needed, which these combinations allow you to make 18 different size. With this combination, you can get 18 different variations of bore and keyway size. So we'll set this aside, and we'll go look at what's left here. Well, let me sum it up for you. If I had known exactly what was in this box, I probably wouldn't have taken it. I would have let the other guy take it. I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4. That's got no collar on it, so that's a different style. 5, 6, 7 shop made, 8 shop made. This 1 3/16 that actually somebody ground a slot on the other side to use it for some really small broach. There's a little tiny one they made that looks like another A. These little feathers or wedges or whatever they're called here. I got a assortment of them. And then I ended up with these extra broaches, 3 Threadwells, and 1 Hassay Savage, Hassay Savage. Never heard of that company. The Threadwells are US made. I don't know what that Hassay Savage one is here. And a 3/16 B, China.
China. I love them.
3/8 C.
Look at that. Isn't that nice?
China.
And by the way, I mean, I love China.
And 3 original Dumont broaches. These 2 actually belong to a number 10 set that isn't here. And then this is an odd size one, so I'll probably keep that one too. Oh, and there was this bag of stuff. I didn't even look in here yet. Great if there was something fantastic in here. Redeem my... What the... All right, I'm thinking these are pretty useless to me. Give you a close-up in case somebody knows what the heck those are for. And this is a Starrett number 62 rule holder, and he had $40 on this, which is what I ended up paying. It just turned out that after I got in there and got the broach set and looked around for a while, nobody else had grabbed this, so I was able to buy it. This is about roughly what they trade for on eBay, maybe a little bit more for this one because it's got the original box. Well, I can guarantee you more for this one because it's got the original box. The sad part is that somebody in the quality control department, by the looks of it, decided to engrave it QC-090. But this is a number 62 rule holder. This is, pretty sure this is discontinued from the Starrett catalog. And for those of you who don't know what this is basically a, it's kind of like a surface gauge. It turns your regular scale into almost like a crude height gauge. So your blade just clamps right in here. That's all it is. But there's still some demand for these. I don't know if it's because they're collectible or what, but I've sold a couple of these in the past, but I've never had one with the original box. And this one, the finish is in really great shape, other than, like I said, being engraved. So it is what it is. All right, I think that's going to be it. We're going to call this one a wrap. The battery on the camera's dying, so it's perfect timing. If you enjoyed this pick, which I hope you did, hope I didn't bore you too much there with the whole brooch thing. But anyways, if you enjoyed this pick, please hit the like button. And if you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing and sharing. Take care. Bye-bye.